I propose to consider the question, can machines think? The idea behind digital computers may be explained by saying that these machines are intended to carry out any operations which could be done by human computers. If one wants to make a machine mimic the behavior of the human computer in some complex operation, one has to ask how it is done, and then translate the answer into the form of an instruction table. The special property of digital computers is described by saying that they are universal machines. The existence of machines with this property has the important consequence that computing processes can all be done with one digital computer, suitably programmed for each case. We may now consider our question, can machines think? I believe at the end of the century, the use of words and general educated opinion will have altered so much that one will be able to speak of machines thinking without expecting to be contradicted. But I do not know what the right answer is. We can only see a short distance ahead, but we can see plenty there that needs to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Red Hat President and Chief Executive Officer, Jim Whitehurst.
All right, good morning. Well, welcome to Boston and the Red Hat Summit. It's phenomenal to see so many people. I got to say, it's freaky being here looking out. It's incredible to see. I've seen a lot of familiar faces over the last couple of days, and so welcome back to all of you. For those of you that it's your first summit, welcome to Red Hat Summit. We're thrilled to have you here. This is our marquee event of the year, and it's a year that I know I speak for everyone at Red Hat, just gets us so excited because it gets us a chance to see and touch and talk about with so many people that we work with in open communities throughout the year, but we get a chance to be here live. And so I'm looking forward to continuing that dialogue and meeting as many of you as possible over the next couple of days. Our theme this year is the impact of the individual, and tomorrow I'm going to come back and talk a little more about why we chose that as the theme. But to start off today, I thought it would be good to actually celebrate an individual. And so to start off the Red Hat Summit this year, we thought we would kick off by celebrating an individual who's had tremendous impact on his own company. And this is the Red Hat Certified Professional of the Year. And they are chosen for technical accomplishment, in-depth knowledge of Red Hat products, and most importantly, a true eagerness to share knowledge broadly. So let's get to know a little bit about this year's Red Hat Certified Professional of the Year award winner.
My fascination with Linux started at the university in 1998. I had the opportunity to put my passion into practice after I started working in Turkcell. Back then, Turkcell was a predominantly Unix environment, running thousands of servers to provide various services for our customers. In 2009, I became Red Hat certified and used my knowledge to support a large server consolidation project. Gaining project approval to use Linux at the time was a major challenge. I proposed an environment running Red Hat Enterprise Linux on Intel x86 servers. The project was a success. We were able to demonstrate huge cost savings in terms of servers, space, power and cooling. This project totally changed the perception of Linux in Turkcell. We have migrated almost all our workflows from different Unix systems to Red Hat Enterprise Linux since then. Thus, being proficient with Red Hat has become very important. Today, we have more than 15 Red Hat certified engineers, and we are running almost everything on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Our experience with Red Hat has led us to adopt new technologies like Red Hat OpenStack platform and Red Hat OpenShift container platform. I am Orhan Bıyıklıoğlu. I am a Red Hat certified engineer.
All right, let's give a hand to Orhan. That's truly an amazing example of what one person can do to have impact on their company. Let's bring Orhan on stage and welcome him personally. Orhan, congratulations. Thank you. That's a new this year. I love starting the conference that way. Look, we have a tremendous amount of content that we are so excited about sharing over the next few days. We have nearly 300 sessions with over 400 speakers. We have 45 instructor-led labs. We have over 100 sponsors. We have 6 general sessions that include over 20 keynote speakers, importantly including a lot of customers and users, so you can hear directly their perspectives on using open source technologies. And here in the room today, we have customers and partners from over 70 countries. And we have 15 open source communities represented in Community Central, which you'll see outside in the pavilion. We also, and those of you who've seen these before, we are passionate about open source broadly and the ability of the principles of open source to impact industries beyond just software. And so one thing I'm particularly excited about is this evening we're going to preview our latest in our open source stories movie series. This year, AI, machine learning, and self-driving cars have gone just tremendous advancements. And this new film explores how open source plays such a key role in that and how it can further advance development and deployment of autonomous driving. So let's take a quick look at the trailer. Hopefully it'll get you excited to join us this evening and see the full film.
Okay, the premise is I have self-driving cars, right? Let's discuss how that reshapes society.
So the question is, can we develop an AI-powered engine to perceive the world, to make decisions, and have it reach a level of performance and reliability that we're confident in, and confident enough to put it on the road?
So what is going to happen is AI will become increasingly integral to our lives. It will become our interface to the world. AI is going to change what it means to be human.
So we're at a really important place in the history right now, is that we're embarking on new technologies that are potentially amazing, enabling technologies, but we have no idea whether or not we can say that they're safe.
It's a really difficult task. What makes it even more difficult is the fact that our requirements for reliability are very high.
And it's looking more and more like this is really a problem that is going to be solved with data, that this is a data-driven problem.
And as a society, because we share these roads, right, and because we're all exposed to the risk of other cars and drivers, we need to be making decisions about how to share the best data with the cars.
The question is, will we as an automotive and a technology community get to the point where we can look at each other in the eye and say, it's to everybody's benefit to share this data?
It's an ethical choice we have to make between the status quo, where we have millions of people dying on the roads, and a better future.
All right. This is a really great film. I will say I've had a chance to preview it, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. It really is a great film and phenomenal to see the role that open source is playing in that. The full film will premiere tonight at 6:30 in room 210C. You're invited for food and drinks to go along with the film. And we're going to have a panel of Red Hat and other AI experts who are going to talk about how machine learning and open source are impacting the future of AI and autonomous driving. So I hope you can join us again. That's tonight at 6:30 in 210C. So I hope you'll be there. So today, to kick off the summit, we decided we really want to focus on the key technologies that we're announcing this week and that you'll learn more about. You'll hear about how customers in particular are using those technologies to solve their own problems. So we have a really packed day today. I'm really excited for you to hear what we're up to and what you all are up to jointly. So welcome to day one of the summit. I'll be back tomorrow, but with that, we'll let the day begin. Thank you.
Please welcome Red Hat President of Products and Technology, Paul Cormier.
Morning. So, I have to say, this is always such an exciting week for us. It's so great to be back at the summit, the Red Hat Summit. On a personal note, it's so great to be back home, back in Boston. So we've got so much to show you this week. There's been so much technology based on Linux and open source that has emerged over the last couple of years. Today, we're really excited to focus on the technologies that have made it from our upstream communities to our products and out to many of you, our customers, while running some of the largest, most successful deployments on the planet. So let's start with that, with where we left off last year. Last year we talked about dev and ops coming together through common architectures, processes, and platforms, letting you build your environments iteratively, producing better infrastructure and applications for development, test, and all the way out to production. Architecture is open and varied from physical to virtual to private to public cloud, with processes that are more agile, flexible, and faster with DevOps and CI/CD, and all the automation tools that make this more complex environment even possible. Linux as the platform and open source standards at the core, from cloud ready to cloud native. We've been through this journey with many of you. In fact, we've seen you evolve over the years as well. We ask our customers all the time, what are your greatest challenges out there? Last year, our customers told us that their greatest challenges were cutting costs, security, and automation. While these needs have evolved a lot, we still have to worry about that. We still have to worry about cost, security, and automation. But there's more. There's much more. For 2017, as people get further into deploying their hybrid clouds, their priority is really how to bring applications to their cloud strategy and how to optimize their modern IT infrastructure that they already have. So let's talk about what we're doing in these other areas. We'll get into that now. A lot of people in the beginning, when cloud first started, said the world's going, every application's going to the public cloud tomorrow. I think as we all got into that, the practicality, we realized, while cloud is extremely important, you just won't be able to execute on your cloud strategy in one fell swoop. Consistency is very much needed across your environment in order to keep a manageable, secure, and flexible foundation for your applications. In fact, when we look at our customers, most already have a cloud deployment strategy. 84% are integrating cloud already. Public, private, and hybrid as part of their infrastructure. Cloud is part of their overall IT strategy. Integrating cloud is a major strategic focus for many today. We know this. We work with you every day on this. And our goal is to let you implement the strategy that works for you on your time in meeting your requirements. We've been investing in this for years. That's how it works in the enterprise world. Every new product, most new features in products, every acquisition that we've done has been in support of this hybrid environment. RHEL runs across all footprints in all environments. OpenShift builds on RHEL to extend this to give you that common hybrid application platform. From RHEL on bare metal, to Rev for virtualization, to OpenStack for private cloud, all the way out to the public cloud. On these platforms, we can provide you the necessary application consistency, which is so very, very important. We see our customers executing on this strategy every single day. In fact, in 2017, 70% of them said cloud is their top spending priority. This is the new reality. And even beyond the next year, this is how you are planning your future. You're spending on not just one, but multiple cloud vendors. Different providers do different things in different ways. You want to abstract those differences to ensure consistent orchestration, management, security, including containers across all applications. You want to do this while choosing the cloud environment that's best for what you're trying to do. And you want to avoid lock-in to one provider. So this is really what your stack looks like today. You might not be focused on a single provider. You may even be using multiple providers. And even this isn't complete. You also need consistency in storage in this dynamic environment, just like you need it in your static environment for many, many, many years. We at Red Hat give you that consistency across the footprints that you have today, in the public clouds that you might want today or in the future, giving you the true vendor independence that you need for your success. This really allows you to leverage your investments of today and safely invest in your applications for tomorrow, knowing that they can all run anywhere. They will have a secure foundation and integrate into your overall policies through the OpenShift application platform, spanning all footprints and any cloud providers to bring you a true hybrid cloud. As a matter of fact, this morning we had a very exciting announcement with Amazon Web Services to extend that hybrid footprint out in even more depth into one of the major cloud providers out into the market. You'll hear more about that this week. We'll talk a lot about that this week, so we're very excited about that. But you really have to look at this, because a runtime environment just isn't enough. It's just the first piece that you need to execute on your cloud strategy. Remember, I told you earlier that customers made cloud their top spending priority. As the infrastructure transfers to a hybrid model, with the application development model taking advantage of those changes. It's very important to move these in sync with each other. As we do this, traditional management technologies literally become obsolete. In this hybrid world, apps are running in physical, virtual, public, and private environments. Security and management are absolutely top of mind. This all has to evolve as we deliver security, compliance, automation, and orchestration across this hybrid world. You need to pursue this more complex, and it's a reality of today. You need to do this while not taking a hit on your efficiencies. You need to keep the business running as you do this. Red Hat Management, in conjunction with our hybrid platform and our infrastructure solutions, provide a consistent way to view and maintain your applications. Analytics-based solutions identify potential problems, while automation and orchestration across a portfolio allow you to solve them on the spot. This is what's required. This is just a little of what's required for true hybrid cloud management. But let's talk a bit more about the specifics. As always, the reality of IT evolves around the applications. Applications are your strategic advantage in the business. It's the applications that you have today and the ones that you will build to solve problems together tomorrow. So getting them to production is critical regardless of their environment. Keeping them running in a secure manner is critical. And with the ever-increasing rate of change, automation is the only way to make this practical. In this increasingly complex world, the pieces of management need to work together. Your infrastructure needs the latest software to take advantage of the functional and security innovations today, and this is exactly what satellite provides from day one. But beyond content, environments still change. From configurations to runtime processes, Insights provides continuous analysis to really catch problems before they actually happen. Then, whether you're fixing these problems or automating human tasks, Ansible is the de facto open source automation technology. It lets you carry those policies out. But running things once just isn't enough in this world. You need to move to management by policy. CloudForms builds on these layers to orchestrate and enforce your management policies. This brings all of your applications and all of your environments, wherever they run, under the umbrella and under your control. As hybrid complexity grows and has become the new norm, all of these pieces working together are essential. The traditional management technologies of the past are really obsolete in this world. Infrastructure is evolving as never before. Application technology is changing faster than ever, and management is being refined just as quickly, all in unison with each other. Everything I've talked about needs to work consistently across any footprint that makes up your hybrid infrastructure. Infrastructure exists to run applications, and cloud is all about applications. So getting your developers effective at building applications across the cloud is really your next priority. This encompasses maintaining the applications you have today and building the applications of the future. Developing across this changing environment is as tough as managing it. Making the supporting infrastructure seamless but not visible to the application developer is absolutely required for their work. Your developers still need a variety of middleware services in this space. They need this to support their applications needs just as they always have in the past. But beyond these services, they also need a new class of developer tooling that brings together all of the pieces, building applications to leverage this dynamic infrastructure across the hybrid cloud. In addition to building your new applications, you may need to transition your old applications to this new world of cloud-native development without interruption and without rewriting them. This is very important. This is so important because your applications of today, running on today's infrastructure, they're running the business of today. You have to keep that going. And this is where you spend your budget, your time, and your effort today. Addressing these applications will get you to the business of tomorrow. And you need to bring these applications to a hybrid application platform, seamlessly, with no interruption to the business. While this might sound very, very challenging, the reality is that many, many of our customers are doing this every day. and we're here to show you the tools that make that possible. Let me introduce James Faulkner to show you an example of what you can do and what many of our customers are doing today. James, come on up.
All right. Thanks, Paul. So Paul is absolutely right. Our customers are definitely looking to move their technology forward, but they're concerned and wondering what to do with their existing investments in legacy platforms like WebLogic and WebSphere. They want a path to the future. And at least for developers, that future is Linux containers and OpenShift. So in this demo, I want to show you exactly how you can get to that future today. So what we're going to do is take an existing monolithic Java EE app to the cloud using OpenShift and JBoss EAP, our modern, lightweight, and flexible Java EE platform. So to get started, I've loaded the app into the Red Hat Development Suite, which is our desktop Eclipse IDE. This application is called DayTrader. It's a high-performance stock trading application built with a number of Java EE technologies. So let's take a quick look at what we have inside. So you can see we have several EJBs, which contain the application business logic. We have several JMS topics and queues, which handle the asynchronous trade capability. We also have several entity beans, which handle persistence to and from the database. And as you'll see in a moment, it's all topped off with a gloriously retro user interface built on JSP technology with everyone's favorite tag, the blink tag, because, well, why not? So to get started with the migration process, we're going to use the Red Hat Application Migration Toolkit. So this toolkit contains two main components. It has an analysis engine, which looks at the source code of your application and determines what needs to be migrated. And then it feeds that result to the web reporting engine, which generates an easy-to-read web report showing you the issues that it found for migration. And it classifies them, whether they're mandatory or optional. It also assigns story points to give you an idea of how difficult the migration will be. So I've been working on this app, and I've got a few more issues to resolve, so I kind of want to show you what that workflow looks like. So the first one here, we have a proprietary WebLogic API, which needs to be migrated to a standard Java EE API. So with the toolkit, I'm offered what are known as quick fixes. These fixes show you exactly what needs to change at the source code level. You can review the changes. You can make changes yourself. But I'm happy with these changes. It looks correct to me. So I'll go ahead and apply that fix. So good. That one's done. So I'll go ahead and I've got two more here. I'll just quickly apply those as well. OK, great. So we've got our existing monolithic WebLogic application migrated over to modern and flexible JBoss EAP. But that's not the best part. The best part is with the native OpenShift integration in our IDE, I can simply take my newly migrated project, drag and drop it onto a Linux container running on OpenShift, and now I'm cloud ready. OpenShift will take that source code, combine it with the base JBoss EAP image, turn that into a Linux container, and drop it into my OpenShift container, or my OpenShift cluster. So let's go take a look. So here's the app now running on OpenShift. If I click on the link here, I can actually open the application, and here's this gloriously retro UI I was telling you about. So I'll go ahead and log in, and you can see I have account information. I can get information on my holdings within my portfolio. I can get quotes. I can execute trades. And I can do other things related to my portfolio management. So notice I did not do any re-architecture at all. With OpenShift and JBoss EAP, we support both the traditional stateful Java EE workloads, as well as the more modern cloud-native workloads. No re-architecture required. I can take my mission-critical monolith to the cloud immediately and quickly with OpenShift and JBoss EAP. So we've got the app running. Now that I've got this solution in place, I can take advantage of the features and capabilities of Linux containers and OpenShift. So for example, I can create an automatic scaling configuration so my application can meet changing demand. Or in this case, I can create a CI/CD pipeline that allows me to get my bits to production much quicker and with more consistency. So I've created a sample pipeline here, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off and explain what's happening. So with the changes I've made in the application migration toolkit, turned into a Linux container, now I need to get those bits to production. So my Linux container will basically be created and then promoted across different environments, from my developer's desktop to a test or QA environment to staging, and then ultimately to production, but with no traffic routed to it. Once I'm happy with the results of the test and I'm confident in the changes, I can then go ahead and approve those to go live and start accepting traffic. So it looks like my pipeline is complete. My code has passed all the tests, so I'll go ahead and approve that to production. So I'll go ahead and log in to my CI/CD server and hit proceed. And great. So at this point, OpenShift now executes what's known as a rolling update. So this is a controlled way of getting the new version of my application into production while bringing the old version down in a controlled manner so that any in-flight transactions or user data that hasn't hit the database yet can survive and persist, and I don't lose customers, I don't lose data, and I don't lose business. So while that's happening, and with the time savings I can achieve through these modern deployment capabilities, now I can task my developers to do more than just keep the lights on. Now they can truly innovate and move my business forward. So for example, I've created a simple RESTful API, and I'm going to go ahead and deploy this, and then we'll kind of wrap up here. So I have a simple microservice, which I'm deploying right now to OpenShift. This essentially adds a RESTful API onto my existing application for developers who prefer that style of integration. So while that's deploying, let's recap what you've just seen. I took an existing monolithic mission-critical Java EE application to the cloud with JBoss EAP, the application migration toolkit, and OpenShift. I then created a CI/CD pipeline and was able to get my migrated changes to production quickly and with more consistency. And then finally, I was able to create a RESTful API on top of my existing app, essentially opening my app up to an entirely new class of developers who have, to date, been walled off by a decade of technology change, all in 6 minutes. So that's pretty profound. So let's go ahead and make sure it looks like it's up and running. So I'll go ahead and test it. Let me make this a bit bigger so you guys can see it. So I'll just execute a trade using the RESTful API. It looks like I submitted my trade, and the order went through. It's now closed, and I've completed the transaction here. Let's go and check out the app just to make sure it went through here. So I'll just go ahead and log in. And it looks like my order's been completed. And notice all of that took place while the rolling update was still in progress. Very powerful stuff here. This is just one example of an application being migrated to the cloud with Red Hat technology. But as Paul said, we know this works. We have customers doing this every day. Macquarie Bank in Australia is in one of the oldest and most traditional industries in the world, which makes their story of digital transformation that much more compelling. So let's hear a little bit more from the people at this year's Innovation Award winner for Enterprise Transformation, Macquarie Bank.
We're living in a world of constant change. Change is the new normal, and the future will belong to the fast.
Macquarie Bank is a financial institution that is working in the Australian market. Our mission is just to be able to deliver retail, business banking, and wealth products to every single customer in Australia.
Our business challenges were really that we're a digital-first organisation. We didn't want to compete just against regular banks. We wanted to compete against the last app that you used, Uber or Amazon or eBay. That meant we had to think differently. We had to use software and technologies and ways of working that weren't part of our regular DNA.
Red Hat OpenShift allows us to go faster to market. We have microservices, we have standard governance and deployment procedures and processes that enables us to reduce the friction in moving our solutions from development, test to production. We are also using Red Hat Cluster Storage Solution, Red Hat Cloud Forms, Red Hat JBoss middleware, and Red Hat Ansible. Today, we have the ability of moving our solutions and microservices on Red Hat OpenShift in a couple of seconds. That's the efficiency gains that we have had with implementing these platforms.
The impact is going to be massive on business banking, wealth management, and the personal banking areas, thanks to Red Hat technologies.
Please welcome Barclays CTO of Hosting, Kieran Broadfoot. Please welcome Macquarie Bank's Chief Digital Officer, Luis Ugina.
Hi, I'm Luis Ugina, Chief Digital Officer of Macquarie's Banking and Financial Services Group. We are an Australian retail bank serving 1.1 million customers with personal banking, wealth management, and business banking services through a leading digital experience. What you saw on the screen and the challenge of balancing what you have with where you're going to go is a journey that I have been down as well. Because usually the approach is you select the technology and then you try to adapt your experience to that technology. At Macquarie, we did a completely different approach. Because in order to digitally transform, we had to change every aspect of how we interact with our customers. At the end, the digital world requires new ways of doing. So we are now offering things like natural language search or complex event processing in real time. Or we deliver relevant information using machine learning and predictive analytics. So the idea is we need to completely redefine the customer experience because we want to make our customers' life much, much easier. Once you decide the customer experience, once we decided how need to be the customer experience, then we saw that our technology was not good enough. So we needed to transform the technology. We needed a platform that will support all these changes. And what we saw was the Red Hat portfolio, from Red Hat Enterprise Linux and OpenShift to Fuse, gave us the foundation. In terms of applications, we have a mix of all the applications that we need to migrate into the new platform. But we also had a mix of different applications that we wanted to build. The idea was, it's a really complex approach. But you know what? So we have already been successful in that work, and the results are quite impressive. We have already moved more than 50 critical business applications into the new platform. But again, this work wasn't enough. It is just the starting point. Because one thing is doing something once, and another one is being able to maintain this thing for a long time. A good analogy is like building a new car. It's one challenge to design and build the car the first time. And it's a challenge just to put this car off the production line for the first time. But it's an entirely different challenge to maintain it every day after it's built. For us, building the car for the first time was replatforming. But that wasn't enough. Because remember, we were doing this to fundamentally change the customer experience. We wanted to bring ideas to production faster, on a daily basis, continuously. We needed to do that with zero downtime. We wanted to scale if required, because at the end, customer experience in the digital world is about response time and speed of execution. We want to be more aggressive if we need it. So we want to put more and more functionalities serving the customers at every given moment. And at the same time, we need to have a clear idea of how the system behaves. This is really where the capabilities around OpenShift have changed how we work. Now, we are able to release daily. We are able to release daily with zero downtime. And we have moved from hours to deploy to just a few minutes. And what is more impressive, so we have reduced the number of the time that you need to put a new platform and to put a new environment, to provision the environments from months, that is the traditional approach and traditional time, into just 45 minutes. This is a game changer for us. Think about that. An idea can be delivered to a customer in just one day. How many companies in the world are able to do that? That opens up a world of opportunities for us and our customers. And the technology does more than just help us on these areas. It also helps us to bring and retain the best talent. Our top talent wants to work with technologies like this. And in turn, we need these people to keep them as they are driving this change. That talent fits the entire cycle, helping us to remove legacy in everything we do every day. Our digital transformation has been an incredible journey so far, and the best part is that we are just getting started. I hope that story might inspire you to take the first steps down this path as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Luis. You know, you've just seen a culmination of work that started in various open source communities, delivered to our customers through our products. Putting open source innovation in the hands of our customers to bring applications, even those built over a decade ago, to this new hybrid application platform. Now let's talk about building your business of tomorrow and building the applications that drive your business of tomorrow. This is going to revolve around cloud-native development. Applications that take advantage of dynamic infrastructure and services wherever they run. But in order to build these applications, you don't have to solve technical challenges. You need to empower your development teams. And this is as much about learning as it is about executing. You need to get your developers on board very, very quickly, taking advantage of cloud-native capabilities from day one. To enable this, we've been building the fundamentally new set of capabilities that puts your developers on a cloud-native path from the very beginning. This is going to change how you approach development from this point forward. Todd Mancini is here to demonstrate that work. Come on out, Todd. Go for it.
Thanks. Good morning. Any digitally transforming organization would want to maximize the capabilities of their developers. Yet developers constantly tell us that one of their biggest challenges, one of their biggest difficulties, is simply getting started. Difficulties setting up their developer tools, their dev and test environments, difficulties understanding the needs of the business, and even difficulties selecting technologies when starting a new project. For in a world driven by open source, developers face an ever-growing abundance of choice, and 3/4 of developers lack confidence in the technology stack choices they are making. At Red Hat, we want to do something about it. We want developers to be able to get started instantly, not in 5 days or 5 hours or even 5 minutes. We want them to be highly productive, to understand the needs of the business, and to make choices with confidence. Today, we are excited to announce a new end-to-end cloud-native development experience, Red Hat OpenShift.io. With just a browser and an internet connection, a developer, in fact, a whole team, can get started instantly. I'd like to spend a few moments with you this morning walking you through a typical workflow in OpenShift.io. And this is a video that I made just in my browser the other day. It all starts with a space. And just like in the physical world, a space is a place for a team to come together and collaborate. Now, of course, this one's virtual. So let me go ahead and create a space. And I need to give it a name. So today, Summit 2017 sounds good. And I need to pick a template for that space. Now, the template basically sets up a software management methodology, like Scrum, that I'm going to use when managing this project. But today, I'll just use a simple issue tracker. And that's it. The space is now created and available for the team to collaborate in. But let me go one step further. Let me make use of a QuickStart. The QuickStart also helps me to get started. It adds to my space a ready-to-use software project which adopts best practices. And we've got a bunch in here. You'll see things like Spring Boot. But today, because I want to make a microservice that roars, I'm going to choose the Vertex runtime, which is one of the new Red Hat OpenShift application runtimes. Now, it's important to understand something about this. This is not merely adding boilerplate code to my space. My space now knows how to precisely create my entire development environment. And as you may imagine, that environment will be built in a Linux container and be deployable to OpenShift. Now let me show you one last thing. I get to choose a pipeline. Now, you may recall from James's demo that he was doing some really complex deployments, including migrating traffic from the old version of his application to the new version without dropping a single transaction. And you might have thought that that looked amazing, was awesome, but wow, your team would never be able to figure out how to set all that up. Well, with a single click, we're putting the power of these enterprise-grade deployments in the hands of every developer. Now, to make things more interesting, let me switch over to a space which is one that we created earlier using that same microservice, and my team has already done some work. James showed you how easy it was to take an existing stock trading application, get it running in OpenShift, and even modernized it with a RESTful API. So in that spirit, my team and I are collaborating on a real-time stock recommendation engine. So let's go into it and switch into a planning view. And you can see there is a healthy backlog of work to be done. If I switch to a taskboard view, I can see the work currently being done across the entire team. Now, there's a lot going on there, so let me just filter this down to the work that's assigned to me. And thankfully, I've only got one thing to do, so let me go look at the details of that. And it's basically telling me that I need to go and augment our stock recommendation API with a trade window and data element. So I can just move that task to in progress and get started on it. Now let me tell you a little bit about the microservice so you're not confused. It's an API, so it returns a bunch of JSON data. It's running in the public cloud right now. And because it's just this API, what you can see is it's returning this trade window start data element, but it's lacking that trade window end data element. I'm being asked to add that. So let's go back to the OpenShift.io console, and let me go over to the Create tab. From here, I can see that 2 code bases have been added to the space. Now, one of them is James's stock trading application, which is great because it makes it easy for me and my team to reference it. But there is also a new stock recommendation code base, which was initially created by that QuickStart wizard I showed you a few minutes ago. And remember how I told you that QuickStart also includes the information necessary to create my entire development environment? Well, from the kebab menu on the right, I can request a workspace to be created. And amazingly, that entire environment can be created in under a minute. But mine's already up and running, so let me just go into it. I simply switch over to this other browser tab. Now, I have not left my browser. I've not installed any software on my machine. I have not touched a complex command line. And here I am in Eclipse IDE, a next-generation cloud-native IDE with a complete containerized development workspace at my disposal. And I can do the sorts of things you would expect to be able to do in an IDE. For example, I can make the requested code change from that task. And through the magic power of pre-canned demos, I only need to uncomment one line of code. Now, I should go test that code, so let me go run my unit tests. Now, there's a little more happening here that might meet the eye. You see, unit tests need a place to be able to execute my code. So I'm very grateful that OpenShift.io has created a complete workspace for me in the cloud in which my unit tests can run. Now, there's only one test, and I see that it has passed. So let me go take a look at the external packages I've added to my project inside the POM file. Now, before I recorded this video, I added a logging package to the application. It's just an open source one. I did a search, found it on the internet. And as such, I'm not 100% confident that I made a good choice. But you see this red squiggly in the IDE? That usually is the way how an IDE tells you there's some kind of error. This is the power of OpenShift.io stack analysis. It has identified a security vulnerability in that logging package, but more importantly, it's recommending an alternative version. So I can simply go in and make the upgrade to version 1.2.1. Let's go ahead and spot check the code now. Let me go run the microservice. Now, because I have a full cloud-hosted isolated development environment, which was constructed for me with the proper runtimes and library installed, it just works. Now, since it's an API, there's not much to see, so I can go ahead and use the curl command to see what's coming out of the microservice. And I can see, indeed, trade window end is now been properly added to the code. Great. So let me go ahead and use the git command to commit my code change. And because I'm a developer, I think fixes is a good enough comment. And let me go ahead and push those code changes back up to the main code base repository. OpenShift.io has full continuous integration and continuous delivery, so the code change I just committed will kick off a pipeline run. If I switch over to the pipeline screen, I can see my currently executing build pipeline. However, in the interest of time, I started one previously, and it's now awaiting my approval. Now, I don't need to know Jenkins or how to set up integration testing or how to do stage deployments or how to add in approval workflows. It's all just there. The pipeline has rolled out my proposed changes to my staging environment so that I may verify the fix before promoting it to my run environment. So let me go ahead and switch over to my staging environment so I can test out the microservice. I have it running in this other browser tab. And as you can see, the trade window end is part of this data. The change looks good to me in staging, so I can go back to OpenShift.io and approve the change. Now, this is an example of how OpenShift.io puts the power of advanced pipelines in every developer's hands. OK, now let's go see what happened to my approval. Let me switch over to the OpenShift console, and from there, I can see that we're doing the same kinds of rolling deployments that James showed you moments ago. But now would be a great time for me to mention that what you're actually seeing here is the next generation of Red Hat OpenShift Online, a cloud container platform that enables developers to build, deploy, host, and scale container-based applications, and it is also launching today. So it looks like the rolling deployment's done. Take a peek at the run environment. Didn't have trade window end in there before. It does now, so everything looks good, and I've correctly promoted. One last thing, let's go back to OpenShift.io, and let's look at the history of my pipeline runs. And if you look very carefully, you can see a lot of them have this stack reports link. Let's go ahead and open up one of those. Here you can see a much more complete view, although it's not showing, apologize for that, of the stack analysis that OpenShift.io is able to do. If you remember, OpenShift.io stack analysis gave me information directly in my IDE about a security vulnerability. But OpenShift.io also does a full analysis on each run. And earlier you heard from Paul how we've added insights to operations. This is possible because of the many years of experience we have working closely with customers to diagnose and resolve their issues. And now we're putting those years of experience in your developers' hands. There's a report popping up now. And if you can see here, it's making some recommendations. These include things like recommending packages to upgrade, and even, based upon the technology stack that I had in my application, other packages that are often used by developers using the same stack. Now, I like that first recommendation because I'm definitely running out of time. I can't address it right now, so let me just go ahead and hit the Create Work Item button. If I now return to the Plan view, I can see that an item has been added to my backlog based upon that recommendation. And if I open it, it gives me a detailed explanation of what I need to do, and I'll go do that when I get backstage. Wow, there is far more to OpenShift.io than I could possibly show you in this quick demo. We had originally published 5 developer tool roadmap sessions on the agenda, but I can now reveal to you they are all, in fact, OpenShift.io sessions. And unlike this quick video walkthrough, we'll show you OpenShift.io running live. The Summit app on your phone will soon update with a revised agenda. Finally, I know you're asking, how do you get to use OpenShift.io? Well, today we're announcing our developer preview with limited availability. So simply go to OpenShift.io, click the big red sign up button, and as space opens up, we'll continue to let people in. Oh, and did I happen to mention that everything you just saw and more, including running your application in the next generation of OpenShift Online, is completely free? Now to tell you about his huge development team's digital transformation, powered by OpenShift, please join me in giving a warm welcome to John Hodgson, Senior Director of Enterprise Cloud Adoption at Optim.
So what you just saw, I live every day at Optim. Optim is part of United Health Group. We were ranked number 6 on the Fortune 500 last year with over $185 billion in revenue. Optim alone, which is our technology arm, had over $83 billion in revenue, which would have put us at number 31 on the Fortune 500 all by ourselves. I'm John Hodgson. I'm our Senior Director of Enterprise Cloud Adoption at Optim. I'm responsible for supporting adoption of our own internal Optim Cloud, as well as our efforts to modernize application development for a group of almost 10,000 developers. So all of you guys plus a couple thousand more. We have a presence in nearly half a dozen countries around the world. And in 2016, UHG spent $3.2 billion on technology and innovation. That resulted in more than 13 million hours of development and nearly 770 billion computing transactions last year, all on a healthcare purpose cloud and big data platform. We've invested really heavy in our platform and service offerings, mainly built on OpenShift. In April of last year, about a year ago, we implemented OpenShift version 3. And working very closely with the Red Hat team, that environment has been 100% stable for more than 6 months now. We have more than 4,000 projects on the OpenShift platform across all lines of business. We have more than 20 Priority 1 applications currently on the OpenShift platform, including our Health for Me app and our big link platform for all of our providers. And right now, we're actually in the process of even implementing an OpenShift trial tier, free tier, to help increase adoption for our developers and give them a sandbox to play in. We've come to realize over the last couple years, though, that without changing the mindset of our developers, we're never going to impact the transformation that we want to have and drive the benefits that our business needs. To do that, we've done a couple of different things to help our developers. The first is Dev Days. On an annual basis, Optim hosts an event across 30 different development hubs around the world. Last year, we impacted over 2,500 technologists in the 2-day session. Each session of Dev Days, like I said, is 2 days, and it's all about learning, doing, and applying. At the end of that 2-day session, it culminates in a hackathon where we try to cultivate some of the best ideas that came out of the event and set them up for future development. Another thing that we have going on is Optim Developer. Optim Developer is a portal that allows us to enable our developers to rapidly consume, build, and publish digital assets for reuse across the enterprise. It's a portal that allows for pre-built services that adhere to some of our standards and best practices. Optim Developer focuses on our platform as a service offerings, as well as our big data platform, microservices, mobile development, and our cloud SDK. But even as you train your new developers and convert the developers you have, you need to be thinking about the next tier. And Optim has done that by creating our Technology Development Program, or TDP. We did that to help position UHG's workforce for the future and to take on some of these new technologies. We started in 2009 with 17 developers, actually 17 candidates that we brought into the program. Most turned into developers. And in 2016, we hired 1,600 fresh college grads into the program. And in June of this year, we'll onboard our 3,500th TDPer into the program. And TDP is more than just a recruiting program. It focuses on multiple levels of mentoring, as well as role-based and peer learning to help develop each one of the resources that we're investing in to develop them to the fullest capacity. As a flagship in our TDP fleet, our office right here in Boston is heavily weighted towards TDP and early career development. The office is really interesting. You got to think Google. Lots of open spaces, lots of color, no walls, agile workspaces, and whiteboards absolutely everywhere. The TDP program has really been great because over the years, it's tried to really cultivate a startup mindset in a company of more than 250,000 employees. So over my last 22 years at Optim, I've had a front row seat in seeing how we've been able to transform ourselves into a modern development shop at a scale that I think few companies in the world can match. But even once you've converted your developers, you're not done. Applications need to work differently, and we have different expectations now. Modern applications are built and integrally tied to infrastructure, and we need that infrastructure to respond accordingly. Our new applications operate as one with the infrastructure, and that's at the core of why we're using OpenShift. One of the really cool new things that we're working with the Red Hat team on now is what we call cloud scaffolding. Cloud scaffolding is built on the OpenShift platform. And for us, cloud scaffolding is a way to absolutely maximize productivity from our developers. It's done by utilizing Red Hat's push-button infrastructure and delivering a consolidated request mechanism, or sort of a shopping experience that allows our developers to select customized cloud tools and services and technologies that are specific to their particular application's needs. It provides an integrated DevOps toolchain, allows for source code control, build and deployment automation, among other things. The whole goal is rapid developer productivity, speed to market, speed to value. And we are taking a process right now in Optim that takes anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks for a group to get going. We're taking that process with cloud scaffolding and turning it into 2 or 3 days or less. So standard builds using standard tools will increase our quality and help decrease costs overall. So hand in hand with enabling our developers, we're building a platform that provides the operational abilities to help them succeed. And like most things in IT, right, we need it done yesterday. We have a massive set of applications and a massive group of developers to bring on board. And one of the things that we've really taken advantage of from Red Hat is their Open Innovation Lab. They've been at the heart of what we're doing with our cloud scaffolding work and helping us really build the bridge between applications and infrastructure and truly creating a game-changing service for us. I know you guys are going to hear a lot more about Open Innovation Labs throughout this week, but it was something that I felt was important to point out for you to take advantage of if you have the opportunity. They've really helped us jumpstart things and have absolutely exceeded our expectations. Thank you very much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thanks, John. You just saw the next generation of development tools hosted in the cloud, all containerized, natively integrated with OpenShift, guiding your developers with analytics and AI, built with data from real-world experience based on our 15 years of doing mission-critical support for our customers around the world, all based on open source software. We've come a long, long way. Now that you can build your cloud-native applications and have the tools to bring those applications to the cloud, let's talk a bit about how you connect your applications of today and tomorrow. You now have applications taking full advantage of a hybrid infrastructure, some on-premise, some off, some microservices-based, some traditional applications, with your business dependent on all of them. You cannot be successful with everything running in its own silo. We're now going to show you how you can break down those silos and integrate applications wherever they run. Let me bring up Keith Babbo to show you this work. Take it away, Keith. Go for it.
Thanks, Paul. As we just saw with Todd and James, no matter what development path is traveled, greenfield microservices or legacy app modernization, teams are focusing that development around APIs. But developing an API is really just the first step in building a successful API program. To see what I mean by that, let's check in on the APIs that Todd and James developed earlier. Both APIs are deployed on OpenShift and managed through our 3-scale API management platform. Now that the APIs are deployed and ready to go, how are we going to engage with developers outside of our organization to drive adoption of those APIs? The 3-scale platform provides a built-in developer portal to do precisely that. The developer portal allows you to create and host custom developer-facing websites for your APIs, with information on what an API does, along with built-in registration capabilities to get those developers up and running quickly. The portal also provides detailed API documentation to give those developers all the information they need to interact with your APIs, including things like sample data, which we can see here for the DayTrader API and the Trade Insights API. So now that our APIs are easy to discover, easy to use, how are we going to measure adoption of those APIs? More importantly, how are we going to track progress towards our overall business objectives for our API program? The 3-scale platform provides analytics support which gives you the insight you'll need to answer exactly this type of question. Right now, we're looking at the analytics dashboard for Todd's Trade Insights API. We can see that the dashboard gives us information on the total API traffic volume, but it also allows us to go a level deeper to see which parts of our API are the most popular. We can even slice this data in different ways. For example, I can see total API traffic volume over different categories of consumers. We can see here, if we're looking at evaluators, that adoption amongst evaluators is really taking off. I'd like to find a way to maybe convince some of these evaluators to move over to a customer plan for my APIs. Let's see how application plans can help with that. Application plans put you in control over how API clients consume your APIs. In this case, we have two plans, one for customers and the other for evaluators. What I'm going to do is I'm going to update the evaluator plan to add something called a rate limit, which essentially limits the maximum number of times an API consumer can invoke my API. And I'm going to set that at 1 per minute. This should be more than enough for any evaluators that are just kicking the tires. But for API consumers that are hitting my API more frequently, maybe this is just the nudge they need to step into a customer plan for my API. Now, I don't need to just cross my fingers and hope that this all works out. As an API owner, I can return to the analytics dashboard for my API over time to see what effect these API policy changes are having. Because application plans are completely separate from your API implementation logic, you have the flexibility you need to change and adapt your API policies to match the needs of your API program. All right, now that we have a full API program in place, I'd like to walk back to where we started earlier, which is with developers putting organizations on the path towards digital transformation. But do I really need to be a developer to do that? Or can we use some of the same technologies you've seen today to enable other types of enterprise users that are non-developers to participate in digital transformation as well? This is where iPaaS comes in. iPaaS is a 100% cloud-hosted runtime and toolchain for integration based on JBoss Fuse. It's backed by the powerful Apache Camel integration framework with support for over 150 connectors, intelligent pattern-based routing, and advanced data manipulation capabilities. Right now, we're looking at the iPaaS dashboard, which is sort of like a 10,000-foot view of your integration environment on a single page. If I look at the list of connections, I can see I have connections defined for a variety of cloud and SaaS applications like GitHub, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, and Salesforce. If I filter this list by API, we can see that I have two APIs defined, one for James's DayTrader API, and the other for Todd's Trade Insights API. What I'd like to do is connect these two APIs so that I can pull trade recommendations from Todd's Trade Insight API and use that information to place trades with the DayTrader API. So let's get integrating. The first step in creating a new integration is to define the starting point. And we said that we want that to be the Trade Insight API. That API has a number of actions available on it. In this case, we're interested in the top trade recommendation. Now we need to define where we want that data to go, which is the DayTrader API. That API also has a number of actions. In this case, we want to place a trade. All right, our two APIs are now connected. For anyone that's ever done integration before, you know that it's never quite that easy. Even though these are both RESTful APIs, if you remember back from the earlier demos, or maybe when we looked at the developer portal and looked at some sample data there, the structure of the JSON data they use is quite different. It looks like I'm going to need some data mapping here to reconcile that difference. So I'll go ahead and add a data mapping step to my integration now. Note that the iPaaS has automatically detected the data types used by both APIs. So in order to turn the API data I have into the API data I need, it's simply a matter of pointing and clicking to perform that mapping. I can even perform more advanced types of mappings, like splitting a single input field into multiple target fields. All right, so my data mapping is complete, and my integration is now done. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save here, and I'm going to give this a name and a description. I'm going to click Publish to place this integration into service. All right, so what's happening now is our integration logic is being packaged as a Camel application and built into a Linux container image within OpenShift. That containerized integration is then scheduled for deployment using the exact same mechanisms you saw Todd and James demonstrate earlier, giving me all the benefits of a cloud-native deployment. So let's review how far we've come. Our deployed integration is now subscribed to all of the top trade recommendations of Todd's Trade Insight API. For every new trade recommendation it generates, we're going to transform that recommendation into a trade order and submit that to the DayTrader platform through James's DayTrader API. In doing so, I've effectively created a new business opportunity for my organization. And that's an example of everyday users driving digital transformation without writing a single line of code. Now, throughout today's keynote, you've seen 3 demos that are an example of how you can change as a customer. Now we're going to show you a customer that's done all of it. Let's hear more from Barclays, this year's Innovation Award winner for DevOps implementation.
I think innovative technology is really important to Barclays because we can't stand still. If we stand still, then our competitors will take over us in the market. We exist because our customers need services from us. We've got to innovate and keep up with the times and be ahead of the times in order to secure that marketplace, and that's what we're here for.
Historically, we've seen middleware in the financial services being very much proprietary software that most of the banks use, and certainly 6 years ago, that's very much where Barclays were. Very nervous and risk-averse even at going to sort of the latest versions of those software.
We needed to have the ability for middleware to not be a blocker on the critical path of projects and release of applications. Speed to market share, very important to the bank.
Open source-based software is very important to us at the moment in terms of providing new capabilities to our users of the platforms we offer, and also to be more innovative in the solutions that we provide. Working with Red Hat we found to be very collaborative and as a partnership rather than just a supplier that we're consuming goods and services from. It's very important for us to build a trust with a partner and know that somebody's coming on the journey with us, providing us real support through that journey.
Please welcome Barclays CTO of Hosting, Kieran Broadfoot.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about the major strategic program that Barclays is currently undertaking. As a firm with 325 years of history, constant evolution is essential to us. And as such, I'm keen to give you a flavor of the major program that we're undertaking that's allowed us to move 3,000 application environments to our cloud platforms over the last 2 years. It starts with 5 critical strategic elements. The first is to optimize for the developer. We wholeheartedly agree with Stephen O'Grady that developers are the new kingmakers and deserve our unfettered attention. However, it can be a difficult balancing act to optimize for their productivity whilst maintaining an effective control regime, especially in a regulated industry. Nonetheless, by taking the time to carefully manage this balance, it's allowed us to tap into a huge body of enthusiasm and productivity whilst making us more compelling for new talent. Second, deliver DevOps. For the past 2.5 years, Barclays has been driving a successful agile agenda, with now over 15,000 people operating in this manner. However, without flexible self-service infrastructure, we've never fully solved for the last mile problem of getting code into production. We've been working on this problem by building infrastructure as code pipelines to allow our users to drive their own destiny. We've actually learned a vital lesson here. Infrastructure today happens to be a software development problem. And as such, what we've learned is that a common language and a common vocabulary is allowing infrastructure and app dev to work more closely and better together. Number 3, orientating towards OpEx. It's said that if you build it, you should run it. But we think this means you should pay for it too. Explicitly, we've chosen to federate accountability for every element of each application to their owners. This means that for every workload at Barclays, we aim to find the optimal cost-to-value ratio. The outcome is that the right people in the right places and at the right times have the levers they need to manage cost and invest where opportunities arise for the firm. OpEx and variable billing is the key to helping us make these decisions on a daily basis. Number 4, providing guardrails. Now, I'm sadly old enough to remember Lex in Jurassic Park with a famous line, "This is Unix, I know this." We think about cloud the same way. We believe it must be as consumable for our users as if they were at home working on personal projects. However, applying a control regime in this manner can be challenging. We solve for this by choosing to deploy guardrails which provide multiple layers of segmentation to keep critical systems safe while allowing for experimentation elsewhere. This allows us to expose native services and capabilities without losing the rigor our industry demands. And finally, a depth-first strategy. At Barclays, we choose to make big bets. By choosing key vendors such as Red Hat to partner with, we can learn how to truly embrace next-generation technology. We intentionally avoid lowest common denominator solutions and lean into specific technologies to understand how the partner can directly influence our trajectory. So with those strategic elements defined, we started to deploy our cloud-based technologies in 2015 with the introduction of Red Hat OpenShift and OpenStack. It's fair to say OpenShift has been greeted with exceptional enthusiasm at Barclays by our users, and as we've seen continued drive to adopt across the firm. It remains the primary platform we offer, which provides common capability across all cloud service providers and enables our users to iterate from development to production within a day in a safe and secure manner. It has proven to be a highly versatile platform, which has enabled significant scaling opportunities for workloads, particularly as part of our response to key regulatory requirements. We've also taken the design decision to extend our OpenStack environment with the core inclusion of public cloud. This further reinforces the alignment to our strategic themes and extends user capabilities. The introduction of off-premise cloud has acted as a forcing function to drive additional cultural change and ignite enthusiasm for every component of our software stack. I'm pleased to say that this enthusiasm has led to over 500 applications today running on our cloud platforms. Moreover, the use of Red Hat solutions alongside a range of critical open source projects is driving sustainable cost management and continues to improve developer satisfaction. We couldn't be happier with our progress to date. Finally, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the exceptional technologists at Barclays that have made this journey so valuable to our business. I'm exceptionally proud to have the opportunity to work with them. They truly are the new kingmakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran. So as you've seen, you really cannot afford to have your developers worrying about where their applications are running, having to deal with nuanced differences in services, APIs, and frameworks across various environments. It will just only slow them down. Developers need to build on a platform with the confidence that their applications will run the same way everywhere. This is the only way to take advantage of the hybrid cloud. Our customers have shown you these technologies in action. Frankly, that's the most exciting part of all of this, is to see our technologies solving real-world problems. But what if you want to implement them in your organization and your team doesn't have the experience or the tools? We can help with that too. Last year, we announced the opening of our Open Innovation Labs, bringing customers into the hands-on environment within Red Hat to help re-platform their applications on the technologies you have seen here today. And we've had customers of all types take advantage of this, from building prototypes for real-world applications to refining their development processes, all using our technology and our methodologies and while learning from our experts. They did this while getting deep hands-on experience with OpenShift and our entire product portfolio. You've seen our customers put this technology today into incredible practice, but what we have learned together with them is that there is much, much more that can be done to make it much more seamless and transparent for the application, the developer, and the operators. We see the world split across several layers. a stable compute foundation for your applications that spans the multiple footprints of the hybrid cloud, a platform to build, deploy, and manage those applications with a connection to infrastructure to support those applications, all while maintaining the seamless but not visible to the developer, while giving your operators the tools that they need to run and manage that, to secure, manage it in a reliable way. That compute foundation, it already exists. It spans all of the footprints that we talk about all the time within the hybrid cloud. It's Linux, and in the commercial world, it's RHEL. It's what RHEL has evolved to over the last 15 years. It performs, it's secure, and it's managed everywhere in the same way, in any footprint of the hybrid cloud, including the multiple public platforms in an ever-changing world. This really is the layer that gives your applications the independence that they need to run across this hybrid cloud. Building on that foundation, you need an application platform that developers can build the distributed apps of the future, spanning applications across all environments in the hybrid world with a full set of services and capabilities to support them. This is what our customers are using OpenShift for today and tomorrow. We've made compute, manage, and storage seamless to the application. Now it's time to evolve the infrastructure layers to bring this same approach to the operators. Simplify the level of complexity to bring together common infrastructure services to provide continuity across the multiple infrastructure footprints that you have today, enabling the hybrid cloud to seamlessly be built on your foundation. Services like containers and virtual machines running side by side, orchestrated seamlessly together. Work that we are already doing upstream in communities ranging from Kubernetes to KVM. Or a seamless networking approach regardless of where you are running, to avoid layering overlay networks on overlay networks. Or a seamless security model from the host application, bringing the power of technologies from secure booting to security-enhanced hosts to isolated applications together in one security model that is the default. How close do you think we are today? We're a lot closer than you think. All of these pieces exist in various upstream communities that we are participating in and helping to drive. This is how open source works. And open source is the only development model to solve the complex problems of the hybrid world. This is why upstream participation is such an integral part of our enterprise product development. Leading in upstream projects is really the only way to lead in products that go out to our customers. This is the computing environment of the future. Any app, any footprint, anywhere. This is the DNA of Red Hat. This is what we've done at Red Hat from day one, and this is what every single person in Red Hat is extremely proud of every single day. This is why Red Hat is defining the next generation of computing. Thank you very, very much, and have a great summit. We'll see all you guys around.